For real this time. Call to order the Kennedale City Council regular meeting, December 19th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. We are at City Hall Council Chambers, 405 Municipal Drive, Kennedale. Call to order the Kennedale City Council regular meeting. Members of the public may join in person or access a live feed at www.cityofkennedale.com/videos. The virtual option does not allow for public comment. Members of the public may join in person or access to address the Kennedale City Council regarding an agenda item. Please submit a request to speak form, which are located on the table before our meeting begins. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes and must limit your comments to the subject indicated on the form and address this Kennedale City Council as a whole rather than individual members or staff. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, the Kennedale City Council reserves the right to adjourn into executive closed session at any time during the meeting to seek legal advice from the city attorney on any item posted on the agenda. Kennedale City Council may get a roll call to adjourn into executive closed session at any time during the meeting to seek legal advice from the city attorney on any item posted on the agenda. Executive closed session at any time during the meeting to seek legal advice from the city attorney on any item.
There we go.
There we go.
David Glover,
Present.
Brad Horton,
Here.
Kenneth Michaels,
Here.
Bryant Griffith,
Present.
Jeff Navarez.
Here.
Mayor Joplin, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to have the invocation and pledges. And Councilman Horton, if you'll do the invocation for us. And if Mayor Pro Tem Michaels will do the pledge for us. If you would all rise, please. And we'll have our prayer first.
We thank you so much for our brave police officers, firefighters, and first responders. As always, we pray a special blessing on them. God, I pray for wisdom and knowledge tonight as we go about the city's business. And finally, God, we thank you as we go into this Christmas season for your Son, Jesus. Make us ever mindful of him and the sacrifice that he gave when he came to earth, welcome us and died for us. Now is raised to life. And it is in his name we ask and pray.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, we're going to go right into our visitor and citizen forum request to speak. And just as a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes and to address council as a whole. And I'll call up our first speaker, James Connor. And James, when you get up here, if you'll just say your name, address, you know the drill. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, name is James Connor, 501 West 3rd Street, Kennedale, Texas, literally 5 minutes down the road. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the council for allowing me to have this time, and I'd like to discuss work section B. First and foremost, let me begin by saying I'm not concerned about some aspects of this case, including the money that was obviously there. I'm more concerned about the charter violations, really, that have taken place over this issue. So I'm going to go and start at the beginning. In early September, I received this letter from an anonymous source in my mailbox at home. I still don't know where it came from. I requested a meeting with the city manager where he was notified of the letter. Many copies were made. He said he'd look into it. I'm away out of the office. Mr. Michaels read it, and that was in the hallway. We chatted about some other stuff and items as well. He read that letter. There was absolutely no reaction from him. Of course, I think I know Ken to say, I almost expected that. Ken doesn't really react to stuff like this anyways. Fast forward to the middle of November. I received a phone call from an ex-mayor who asked if I knew about some information. I said yes, and that the city manager was looking into it. And they stated that there was more to the story. We ended that call after some things were discussed, and a week later, on the 28th, I received a text message from an ex-council member asking the same questions. This time I bit. There was a discussion, and at that time, I asked him to send me the information so I can look at it. And to my shock, there was a little bit more to the story. On July 12th, a donation was made by Mr. Griffith to the mayor's back to school bash. The next day, on the 23rd, in a vote, he was appointed over the other worthy qualified candidates. Now again, I don't care about the donation. It's a worthy cause to serve kids in need. At that time, only 3 people knew about the donation: the mayor, city manager, and Mr. Griffith. The rest of the council didn't. In the oath of office, it specifically outlines the following. I, your name, do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, or promised to pay, contributed, or promised to contribute any money or valuable thing as reward to secure my appointment or confirmation. Mr. Griffith did give the donation of monetary value to the city for the event the mayor was holding. That, in my opinion, is breaking an oath. And the mayor and city manager willfully concealed that monetary gift from the rest of council during the interview process, from what I'm being told. Whether that is true or not, I don't know. That's alleged. Therefore, all 3 parties are guilty under assumption for section 12.07. The flyers that were posted on the city's time.
Sorry, James.
I'll post the rest of this on social media so other people can read it, but I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sarah Johnson. And Sarah, you've got a couple of things. Can you squeeze them into one? Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Johnson. I live at 221 Village Street. I also am the person over New Senior Outreach Kennedale, and I worked many years with Jan with different projects, and she's always been honest and above board. I don't think there's any dark side of this at all. I think it was coincidence at the time what transpired, because I don't know him really well, but I have often got to talk to him at different things and his views and stuff. I think it was just a coincidence that this happened like that. And I think this is political crap going on, just like it was with the recall election. It's all about smear campaign. So they make themselves look good so they can get votes. And I'm telling you here right now, I have faith in Jan. I've worked with Jan, and I know she's the most honest person that there is in this room. And shame on the ones that keep trashing her name through the mud, and my name. Recently, I was accused of charging the seniors for food. Yes, and I'm really sick of the rumors that come at me. But Jan knows I use a lot of my own money to take groceries to seniors who don't have anything. And I want you to know that I believe in Jan, I believe in Mr. Griffith, and I think this is a load of bull, and that person shouldn't even be allowed to run for city council. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is Thanksgiving. I didn't really get a good count. I hadn't done all the paperwork yet, but we're like somewhere between 215 and 239 that we were able to give, thanks to the churches coming through, and my husband. The last minute, we were able to get everything we needed, so everybody got. So next year, let's try harder to make sure we're not scrounging at the last minute. And I want to appreciate you. We have a fundraiser coming up December 30th. It's really a donation drive. On the 30th, when Tamika gives me the details, I'll post it. Okay, and we have One thing I forgot is we're having Christmas Eve service at my church at 209 3rd Street. Okay? All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before we close out the speakers forum? I'm going to also ask you after you finish if you'll fill out a form just so we have it on record. Name and address first.
My name is Marcia Knox. I live at 200 Hilltop Drive. Excuse me for wearing the sunglasses. I had cataract surgery today. What I would like to say first and foremost is that I've been here since 1988. I moved to the community because of the type of community Kennedale is and was and still is. And I brought all 4 of my children here because of it being a family-oriented community, and that's what I liked about it. And the mayor's bash was basically my idea. I talked to Mayor Matthews before he left office, and I brought it up to him, and it was late in the season when I thought about it. And then I contacted Mayor Joplin about it, and she said, yeah, that's a good idea, let's shoot for it. And we did. And the problem that I have is when you take things away and set it up and make it negative that will benefit kids, I have a problem with that, because the community is based on our children. And the people that are sitting here on city council, I served on school board from 1995 to 1988. And everything we did was to build the high school, to improve the schools for the children. I see younger faces on the city council. And when you take things and make it negative, and we got young blood on the city council, it makes it difficult for them to want to be a part. And I'm 70 years old, and I'm not going to be here forever. And when I see young people stepping up that have families that want to be a part of city government or the independent school district, and they want to do something, and then we sit up and find time to bring about negative things with a positive image, when you can see the faces of the kids smiling when they come to get their backpacks, and the parents that are crammed for money because of food. And I was a single parent with 4 kids, and I know what it was like. I had to work 2 and 3 jobs to feed my kids and clothe my kids. I even worked at a clothing store so I could get the discount to dress my twins. And when I see that, and then we have enough time, whoever put that letter in his mailbox, why didn't they donate some money? Or why didn't they donate some time? If they had enough time to write that letter, then why didn't they have enough time to come and donate some money or donate their time? I met Councilman Griffith during the bash, and I met his mother and his little son. We got to be buddies. And to see his son being there, being able to give back, that's what you teach kids at an early age, that they are able to give back, even though they may be financially secure because they have parents working, then you teach them to be able to help other kids that don't have that. And I've known Mayor Joplin for a long time, and I trust her. And I'm sure a lot of people in the community trust her too. And I feel like, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be quiet, but I feel like if we spend as much time on the negative and put it toward the positive and let our children see that, that's gonna make our community better. And we definitely need the younger blood sitting in these seats on school board, on city council. And I just wanna say, like I said, I've been here since 1988, and I've sat on the seat on the school board, and I've seen what we can do when we put our minds together to do something positive.
Thank you,
And-
Marcia.
Okay, I'd be quiet.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Another speaker? Yes? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
And don't forget, y'all sign out the form because I need these forms, okay?
All right. My name is Tamiko Sargent, and I have heard about the circumstances behind this, and I truly support Mayor Jan Joplin because I've seen the things that she has done in this community, and I pray that she continue to do so. And during this this incident, I was at the meeting, and Mr. Griffin, I felt like he didn't do anything wrong because the two of us was challenging one another. And as far as everything, I piggyback off Ms. Knott. We need this young man and other ones that come after him to do the things that should be done in Kennedale. It's called a change. And I feel like that this young man would be a part of that change, and I support everything that you did. And Mayor, your bash, I talked to you about doing another bash, and we pray that all of that will happen. So continue to do a good job, please.
Thank you so much. Okay, we had a couple more people come in. I'm going to give you guys a chance before we close it out to speak if you want to. No? All right. Okay, we are going to move on. Oh, hi, Pastor Nelda. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Well, it's good to see you here. We're going to move on to our work session. Item A, Paragon Sports Constructors presentation on ball field options. So what I want to say before we get into this real quick is council has given our city manager direction to get a consultant for our park options for the park bond that was voted on. So at this time, there has not been a consultant that has been selected. There will be an RFP that'll have to go out. And just correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this is a consultant that would like to present to us and just show us what they have and what they can do. And since the bond was passed and we had recently talked about it, I thought it'd be a good opportunity for us to see it. Because these are some of the good things we're working on.
Madam Mayor,
That's it.
City Council members, based on our last council session last month, you all gave us the suggestion or recommendation to consult with a consultant regarding our ball fields. To that aspect, we've been talking to a couple of consultants, and they've been asking the same question, what do we want? And to that point, I reached out to Paragon Sports. Mr. Tim Buchanan here, he's with Paragon Sport. They are a design-build sports complex entity, and he's going to be here this afternoon to give us some ideas and some suggestions what they could do for us regarding our ball fields.
Excellent. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi. As Christian said, I'm Tim Buchanan. I work for Paragon Sports Constructors right across the highway, about 2 miles away, actually. It doesn't appear that our PowerPoint is going to play. I apologize for that. But I did make everyone has a copy of the Paragon in the packet that was passed out to you. Just a real quick breakdown of what Paragon does, and I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. Paragon is a construction company, and we specialize in sports fields, tracks, tennis courts, just about any type of sports field or surface you would like. We build outdoor surfaces. We are, as I said, a construction company, so we do design build, or we'll come in and just put a field down for you. What Christian asked me to look at was Sonora Park, the ball fields there. And if you go through that packet to the Sonora Park option 1, we had talked, and he had told me that there might be a possibility for you to get the land just, I believe it's just south of Sonora Park. And we did a design there of a full-size baseball field with 380-foot fencing, and then a smaller softball field with 200-foot fencing, and then a football, soccer field combination to kind of show you how that would fit in there. On the next page, what we did was put a design with the football field on the current area where you have a baseball field and a smaller softball field. Later on in the package, you'll see how you could put another baseball, softball field at the end of that football field, but you run into some problems there with not a whole lot of room on that end of the field. But that if you did have that extra land there, you can see how you could get a full-size baseball field, and then 2 softball fields that were recreational size fields. When we build those fields, typically we build them with bases for Little League, sleeves for Little League with 50-foot bases, 60-foot bases, 70-foot bases, and then 90-foot bases, even for high school age type kids. And then the same thing on the softball fields. We'll build them for T-ball all the way up to high school aged, if that's what you wish. On the baseball fields, we don't put a mound, we use temporary mounds that are adjustable to move for different distances. As you go through the package, you'll go to the amenities on the field, and what that does, it shows you all the different types of bleachers, the different types of canopies, the shading, the seating, all of those things that you could have on those fields. And going back to the drawing on the current location where the fields are, you're a little tight there, so you won't be able to get a whole lot of seating, but you could get anywhere from 400 to 500 seats around that field, and a small concession area around that field. And you see different field amenities all the way up to the larger bleachers and things like that seat up to 500 up to 1,000 people at a field. Dugouts, it shows you different types of dugouts, everything from chain link fence to masonry on the dugouts and things of that nature. It shows you different dugout structures there. If you keep going through the packet there, it shows you then batting cages, and it just depends on what all you want to put around those fields. The batting cages, everything from uncovered open air cages to covered cages. And then at the back there, you see the Castleberry ISD complex. That was a design build where we built the entire facility there. It shows the dugouts that they built, the baseball field, and the batting cage. The next one is City of Pearland, the fourplex that they built. What they did there, they did, trying to save a little bit of money, they did a natural grass outfield with a synthetic infield on 4 fields, and then a hub in the middle, covered hub for concessions and things of that nature. The next one is John Paul High School, shows a baseball field that we did with canopies and batting cages, concession areas. The city fields that we've done, the city of Plano, you see there 4 synthetic fields. Those fields can be used for anything. They actually did not put any striping on them because they wanted to be able to stripe them for that age group, and you can paint those fields however you want at that point. Others, Russell Creek and City of Plano, you see 2 soccer fields there that can be utilized also for flag football if needed. And then some all-purpose fields. Rockwall has it is a football, softball, baseball, and soccer field. That to give you an idea of that. And then Dallas ISD at North Dallas High School, they have a softball field that combines with their baseball field. And then Cedar Crest Community Center, they put a baseball field as part of their football field. Then when you look at Castleberry ISD, this is kind of, if you put a field on the end of that, on the current property that you have, this is what you would kind of look at there with the baseball field, softball field on the end of the football field is what you'd have room for. At this point, I apologize again. It would have looked a lot better if I could have got the PowerPoint, but It would not work. Any questions that you might have? Okay. Christian's going to pass around the synthetic turf that we use. Paragon actually installed the synthetic surface at the Rangers field, the new indoor field that the Rangers are using. They went with a clay infield. Their clay base paths, but their outfield is the same fiber as that green fiber in that box right there. And the Major League Baseball did not want to use synthetic field. They did not like it. They didn't want to use it, and now they all love it. Very few of them have any complaints about it at this time. Questions that you might have?
Questions, and again, at this point, this is a consultant that we haven't selected yet, just presenting to us what they've done. And so it definitely gives us, thank you so much, because it gives us a visual of what can do with the property that we
Right.
have. So I'll open up to questions if anyone's will start with Councilman Glover.
Hi, Tim. The rubber that's in the grass,
Yes, sir.
does that last for a long time, or does that have to be maintained every couple of years? You have to turn that over. It's all
It will,
way down.
the crumb rubber that is in the surface, and basically there's sand and rubber is what we recommend in fields. And then to try to keep them a slightly cooler, we have a geofill material, which is an organic material that will what it does, it absorbs moisture. And then through evaporative cooling, it keeps the surface a little bit cooler. It's not gonna, if it's 100 degrees outside, it's not gonna make it 80. And if somebody tells you that, they're lying. But the crumb rubber, to answer your question, it will last longer than the field. The field should last, it's got an 8-year warranty, but most fields, baseball fields, softball fields, rec fields are gonna last 10 to 12 years minimum. And the crumb rubber, a lot of people reuse their crumb rubber. We don't do that. If we were to change it out after 12 years, we would put all new crumb rubber in. But it will last the length of the field, the life of the field.
So 8-year warranty, lifespan of about 10 to 12 years.
It is the lifespan on the is 8 years on the fiber. Yeah.
Thank you.
The warranty, I'm sorry. It'll last longer than that. They're going to last 10 to 12 to 14 years.
Councilman Horton?
Not a question, Madam Mayor, but Coach Buchanan, your reputation precedes you. And we have one of the best high school football coaches in the state of Texas here tonight. And I was an assistant at Kennedale for a while and actually played at Aledo in high school. And I think I got lit up many times by your athletes. So welcome. Thank you.
You know, my first loss as a head coach was to Kennedale. They beat me like a stepchild.
I knew that. I was not going to bring that up, but
Were you on that team? I was fixing to leave if you were.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I don't have any question. You actually answered my question about the lifespan and the warranty and stuff
Yes,
like
sir.
that. Thank you.
Councilman Griffith?
I don't have any questions at this time.
Councilman Navarro?
I don't either, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
City Manager? Nope. Oh, thank you. Okay, work session item B is discussion regarding the mayor's back to school bash. And I just want to kick this off. There's been a lot of social media conversations about this, and I thought I would just give some framework to this and some history about how this even became an event. First of all, probably around early 2022, I really wanted to get in touch with all the pastors because there was a need for the community. There was different people that had needs. Like if we came together as a community, we could do more together. And so myself and at the time, Councilman Mitchell, we met with several of the local Kennedale churches with their pastors and told them what we were thinking. And they were all on board. Everybody, Pastor Nelda's in the back. She can tell you everybody was excited about our churches to work together and to do better together, to do more together. That was the whole heart of this. The first meeting was August the 30th of 2022. We met at Hope, Blessed Hope Church. Thank you. And there were several pastors that were there. I actually have a list of all the pastors that came, and we just went around the room and basically at that point talked about the needs that the pastors had. And from there wasn't really an agenda other than for me just to see what God was going to do with this. This wasn't a city. This was just putting the churches together to see how we could help people in the community. Even the name was started as like a K911. That was the first name because Lori Boyd is from 911, and she was going to be the person that communicated all this, because when things come in, you have to first get the information and you have to verify what the person needs, and then she would get the information dispersed to the people on the list. Since then, we changed it to Kennedale Community Connections, just because we had other people joining it, and it was really more about the community connecting and to give it more of a broader scope. We met quarterly, and at one of the meetings, a couple of the pastors mentioned that they had tried to give school supplies away, and they couldn't. They met. They even had put it on the Kennedale News, and no one showed up. Well, one or two people showed up at Sonora Park, and so they wanted a better way to get school supplies out to the kids. So we were at the Community Connections meeting. I said, well, maybe we can all get together and we can together make this bigger, and we can make more people be aware of it so that they can come and get the supplies that are being offered. At that point, actually, my neighbor, Marcia Knox, was at the meeting, and she wanted it to be called the Mayor's Bash. And I said, well, because at that time, it was just going to be the Back to School Bash, and she wanted it to be called the Mayor's School Bash. So I said, well, that's fine, but if it's going to be the Mayor's School Bash, then let's do this. Let's make this really good. And at that point, that's what started it. We narrowed it down to about 5 items for the kids so that we could focus on what was needed. And we came up with a budget that was going to be needed for Chromebook covers and what was the other one? Backpacks. Yeah, backpacks and Chromebook covers, and how much would be needed. We had offers from Councilman Griffith was in the room at the time. And again, this wasn't a committee. This is just a group of people sitting around a table, okay? And he said, and Tamiko said, well, I'll match that. And we had some corporate sponsors that stepped up. We had Constable Lee that's here tonight that made a donation. And normally everything you donate is always anonymously, but we wanted to give thanks to our sponsors. We had a donation from a KISD board member. We had a corporate sponsor. So we had several people that were sponsoring. We were really just trying to get enough to where we could get these Chromebook covers and backpacks. It was the timing of it was unique in that during that time process, we had a council position open up. We did an interview process, and we had an appointment made for Councilman Griffith. And it was during that time, because we started, I think, the 30th of June or the 23rd of June, and I think the last meeting was like the first week of August when the Back to School Bash happened. And he was appointed mid-July. So it was during that time frame. So there's been a lot of accusations about I received money that was used and that was a bribe, or I received money and I didn't disclose it to other council members, or or people received the information and didn't do anything with it. And so we did get after the event, which by the way was a wonderful event, we are going to have it next year, but we're going to try to come up with a different way to raise money, but more on that later. It was a great event, and after the fact, there was a letter that was received anonymously that came in, and it was given to the attorney to look at because it was anonymous. And so the attorney looked at the letter, at the accusations that were made, and he's here to address those tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll just jump in right there. I did look at the letter, and it was a very specific letter, but it was anonymous, and so I have to start off at the beginning. Anonymous is almost impossible to investigate. You can't interview anonymous. You can't ask anonymous if he has any friends or anyone else that can support his testimony. So you're forced to look at really what is laid out in the actual document itself. So I looked at the document that was presented. I obviously did not have a chance to hear any of the testimony that was offered today in public comments, but I looked at the document that was given to the city manager. And based on my review of that document, looking at it at the most broadest sense that I could, accepting everything that was stated in the document as true, it is my conclusion that it did not state a violation of the city charter. The specific section of the charter that was referred to as section 12.07 deals with conflict of interest. And in either of the two possible scenarios, I concluded that there was no violation by Councilmember Griffin or anyone else for that matter, but the allegations appeared to be against him. So my conclusion was, I'm sorry, I used to sit over there. I'm confused on where I'm pointing, but I did not find any violation of section 12.07. So that is the conclusion that I sent to the city manager, and I did not recommend that any further action be taken by the city. Again, partly because you can't really respond to anonymous. There's no one to respond back to. But in any event, even if everything that was said in that anonymous letter turned out to be true or could be substantiated, I did not believe it stated a violation of our section 12.07.
Thank you for that. And the reason that nothing was done with that opinion is because it was anonymous, so there was nothing to be done with it. Later, there were social media posts that were made. Many of you may have seen them, and it was naming specific people, and it was naming former councilmen that were involved, former mayors that were involved in the information that was provided. So we just wanted to address this openly, just to to air this out so that it doesn't take on any more energy. We have so many good things going on in the city of Kennedale, and we really want to focus on those things. So with that, I'm gonna, unless anyone else has anything else to say, I'd like to move on now that the attorney has addressed it. I'd like to move on to work session C.
Madam Mayor, I have something I'd like to say.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor, fellow citizens, I've been asked here tonight to speak. I've had to be in from out of town. I was on a trip, and I've been asked to be here, so I ask that I may be allowed to speak in my entirety and say what I need to say. I ask that you would bear with me. Friends, I have endeavored not to make a statement about the mayor's back-to-school bash. I have tried to make clear to the city staff, also to relay this information to Mr. Griffith. In fact, I spoke to the city attorney about this today. Being that there was a potential quorum issue, potential quorum trap, I did not respond to the one text message that I received from Mr. Griffith. So for the record, I was on the group or the team or the gathering of individuals for the back-to-school bash, whatever it was called. I've never hid that. In fact, I even posted a picture of my attendance on my city Facebook page with Mrs. Knox. And at the time, I was traveling frequently. Down the stretch, I'd estimate I probably attended roughly half of the planning meetings. And at the time, I had no idea what donations were made, who made the donation, who took money from who the money was made out to. I didn't donate myself. I don't know. I mean, I may have been there when that happened. I don't know. I don't know who gave what. So fast forward to the recent events. I've reiterated to the mayor, to the city manager, to the city attorney that given my current profession and as a certified fraud examiner, I have been advised not to speak about this. And I asked that my wishes be respected. I've asked that repeatedly and repeatedly. However, this afternoon I received a phone call from Mayor Joplin and the city manager where I received what I perceived as a threat that Mr. Griffith will call for my resignation, citing a conflict of interest with my profession unless I speak out tonight. Now, I was led to believe that they would go along with this unless I acquiesced and gave in to what Mr. Griffith wanted, and I informed them that I was not planning to run for re-election this spring, and I would just continue to not speak, and I was led to believe that I would be removed if I did not speak. So either I speak to an issue I do not want to speak on, or where I'm being threatened with removal from this council. What if the next time I don't want to give a city update? Am I going to be removed for that? And mind you, this isn't even an issue that's up for a vote. And to be honest, it's not even official city business, for crying out loud. And as I understand it, Mr. Griffith wants me to affirm that his involvement with this event was legitimate. And I'm honestly telling you, all I know is that he showed up, I showed up, and I don't know what he gave. So how can I affirm what I do not know, friends? And so again, I've requested to speak tonight, and I ask that you all let me say what I need to say right now. And at this time, I don't know what Mr. Griffith gave or what he did not give, and I don't care other than, again, he started showing up. I was there. We were both on the group, both on the team. And again, why would I comment to something that I don't know? But based on these recent allegations, if this is true, then it appears that at some point in time, Mr. Griffith donated money to this, whatever it was. It appears that he was appointed to the city council in a split decision with the mayor breaking the tie-breaking vote, and I'd voted against his appointment. And I was also made aware, it should be noted that I was not made aware, and to my knowledge, nobody on the council knew about his donation, which again, probably is not a big deal. But again, we didn't know that, and I didn't know when he interviewed. So then based on the recent allegations, it also appears that afterwards, Mr. Griffith donated money to the Back to School Bash. The city of Kennedale then in turn promoted his business on the flyer to the event and then promoted his business on the September newsletter, if these allegations are true. So again, given my current profession as a certified fraud examiner, which I've asked repeatedly not to be drawn into, not to give an opinion, and I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but on first surface, they have the hallmarks of fraud, bribery, and corruption. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, why on earth is the city of Kennedale promoting a councilman's business? And who made the decision to do that? And at the end of the day, because I will not affirm nor go along with something that I feel uncomfortable doing, I've been threatened to be removed from the city council. And all I asked was to not say anything. And I had to be drug in from out of town here tonight to say this. And in reality, it's not because I want to affirm something. It's because it's unethical, and it has the hallmarks of being unethical, and it has all the hallmarks of corruption. And that's, friends, that's your city government at work.
City Attorney, do you have anything to add to that?
No, not really. Again, nothing I've heard tonight changes my opinion that there was not a violation of the city charter. So the councilman, he did not vote on anything. He didn't render a decision on anything. He wasn't given an opportunity to exercise any influence. And those are the three elements of our charter. So under our charter, he didn't violate any provision of 12.07. So with all due respect to the council member, I don't think there was any wrongdoing. It seems like a legitimate community activity. It's not a city-sponsored activity, as far as I know. So again, there's no evidence. There's even if I accept all of the allegations that are kind of floating around, there's still fundamentally it doesn't get to the only thing that matters, and that's the words in the charter, and it doesn't violate the provisions of the charter. So there's no violation.
Does anyone else have anything that they want to say?
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to,
It was a privilege to work on that committee or that Community Connect. It was an honor and privilege to serve the community. It'll continue to be. I involved my family. You guys heard of my mom showed up, my son. That's who we are. That's what we do. It's absolutely heartbreaking that fellow council members maybe don't see it that way. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. No one has to speak on anything. We have a duty to present ourselves. We have a duty to speak truth. And outside of that, I just appreciate that he showed up. Appreciate us being able to open this up to the public so we can put any concerns to rest and that we can move forward and continue to pour and sow seeds of unity back into the community.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I guess I want to clarify the other part of the accusation that was public, which is, Mr. Michaels, myself didn't do our due diligence with this. I just want the public to be very clear. Our charter is very clear on the powers that we have in investigation. We cannot do investigations unless we ask permission from each other. So if we sat here and made a motion for Mr. Michaels to do investigation, we all passed it, then he has the powers to delegate it to him to do the investigation. I believe Mr. Michaels, both and I did exactly what we needed to do, was to report it to the who we think needs to be involved with that and let them handle it with their authority. And so I just wanted to speak on that we can't just go around doing investigations, that if we have an idea, if there's something that we think is fishy, we need to bring it before council and ask each other's permission to do that investigation. And that's the procedure, and that's in our charter. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually agree with Ms. Johnson tonight. I think this is very politically motivated, and I think, Madam Mayor, you and I have worked for the last several months to try to quash these kinds of things that have been coming up. And we, as you say, have a lot of great things, and we're moving forward. And these are just, I think, hopefully the last gasps of these kinds of things in this community. I want to assure the community that everybody up here is, I think, very sharp, and they have their own skill sets, and we're all working for the city, for the betterment of the city. I don't think there's a single councilman on here or the mayor who's putting personal or private ideas before the will of the city. I think we all have the idea that we put the city first so we all can have a better community, not only for our children, but our grandchildren in some of these cases. And that's what I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, we're going to move on to item C, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull that for later. So we're going to move on to item D, which is discussion regarding the Texas Open Meetings Act law. And again, just to give you some framework, the reason that this is on here is just to clear the air on some accusations that are being made about the Open Meetings Act, about council, and that we can get together at social events and that type of thing. So I've asked the attorney just to give everyone a summary on the Open Meetings Act.
Well, just a reminder, the Open Meetings Act does apply to meetings of this town, this city. There are two elements of an open meeting that are required to be met. One is that there is a meeting that is occurring. The second element is that there is deliberation of the city's business occurring in that meeting. Those are two defined terms under the statute. The first term, to have a meeting, you have to have a quorum of the body present. So in the case of the city, we have to have 3 council members present to create a quorum. If you don't have a quorum, by definition, you don't have a meeting, and so the act doesn't apply. Secondly, you can have a quorum present, but if the city's business is not being discussed, and the language in the statute and the language that the Attorney General uses is deliberating, and deliberating means conversing back and forth, and that can be electronically, that can be in writing, or that can be verbally. So if the quorum is deliberating city business, now you're having a meeting. So then the question is, was it properly posted? And we have to post our meeting 72 hours in advance, which we do. And just for the record, there is no language in the statute that says you have to post the agenda for a meeting. That's not actually required by the statute. What's required is you have to post the time, the place, and the subject matters that are going to be discussed. Well, the easiest way to do that, by the way, is to post our agenda, because we put the address where we're going to meet, we put the time, and we have an outline of the agenda of the topics that are going to be discussed. So that is required to be posted 72 hours in advance. So that's the basic law of Texas regarding open meetings. Now, there's well, not necessarily a big exception, but there is an exception that I think comes into play. And that is, by definition, a meeting that is purely a social gathering, and in Texas, primarily we're talking about Christmas parties, Christmas gatherings, 4th of July gatherings, Veterans Day gatherings, any of the various holidays that we have where it's tradition and common in Texas government for the public officials to get together at an event. Those are accepted out of the definition of a meeting. So those are not meetings by definition. So they don't require posting, they don't require anything else. Now, there is a theory, there are some cases, that if the group of 3 of you gathered around the eggnog or whatever, and you started holding a heated debate about city business, you can cross that line, okay? So some people have sometimes made allegations that you're having an illegal meeting, but if it's just getting together and saying, hey, I'll see you at next council meeting, or, you know, I saw you at the dog park or something like that, that's called incidental. It's incidental to the purpose of your being. And so the statute I actually have in my hand here, the Open Meetings Act handbook dated 2024, it's what the Attorney General puts out. And it's what I read, it's what I rely on, it's what city attorneys rely on all over the state. And so it has a special section here called informal or social meetings. And it accepts out of coverage meetings like Christmas gatherings, veterans gatherings, working on projects. Well, projects is a tricky word. We lawyers can make
Working on
problems
someone's
out of it.
house.
Yeah, if you're working at somebody's house or you're working on, but again, the bottom line is if you're just getting together and you're just talking about the weather, you're talking about things that's not city business, there's no prohibition against that. You guys can still get together. You can still shake hands. You can still meet at the local Dairy Queen. There's no prohibition against that. The Open Meetings Act dates, and I'm going to age myself a little bit, all the way back to the Sharpstown scandals back in I guess it was the 60s, 70s. And what the legislature wanted to prevent was for the old fashioned where the decisions were made in private meetings in some cigar smoked rooms. Nobody hardly smokes cigars anymore. But the idea was that the public didn't get to see the decision made. And the public has an absolute right to see the deliberations, hear you guys debate it and discuss it. And if you post it, the citizens get to read the notice. And the test that I use when I'm evaluating whether a notice is adequate, City Secretary and I will occasionally discuss this, does this put the public on notice adequately so that they can decide, do I want to spend my night at City Council meeting or do I want to do something else that night? If it's something that interests them, then they come to the meeting, and they get to see and hear and watch you deliberate the business. That's the whole purpose of the act. But if you're not deliberating city business, just showing up, asking how your kids and families are doing, or meeting and talking about social things, those are not covered by the act. It's not a violation. We don't get there. Sorry if I took too long.
No, very good. Thank you so much. I think it's important. And again, when these accusations are made, I think it's important just to put them to bed so we can move forward in the good things that we're working on. And with that being said, we're going to move right along to item E, which is Kennedale Oaks PD development standards. And we're going to get an update from our Director Gonzalez on that.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. So what we wanted to do is present to you the PD language for Kennedale Oaks. If you recall, last October, the City Council approved a zoning change at 439 Mansfield Cardinal. This was a property that had a tiny home development off Mansfield Cardinal, and it was rezoned to a planned development townhome project. And that did pass City Council. What I've learned, or what staff has learned, is that the PD or the ordinance that was typically accompanying, or the development standard specifically, at the time, the city didn't really have in place. That was similar to our UDC when it came to townhomes. So since then, staff, we've reviewed those initial meetings, all the material that was presented by the applicants when they approached, came to City Council. We looked at the videos, the records, staff reports, things of that nature. And so the development standards were drafted to be reflective of what was presented to council at that meeting. And so, but before we move forward, or the developer moves forward and starts moving dirt at some point, we want to be able to say that council has had an opportunity to review this PD language. And so to kind of avoid any future discrepancies development-wise. So I can do my best to answer any questions you may have specific to this.
No, I think it's a great idea because we do have some new council from October as well. So it just gives them a chance to see it, and it also helps us to know where you are with these developments, which we like to know as well. So
absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions after reading all the information? Because this isn't anything we're voting on. It's already been voting on. This is really just an update with all the information in your packet. So unless you have any questions, we're going to move on. Yeah, great. Love this. All right, we're going to go into our regular session reports and announcements. Thank you, Nathan. Updates from council. Start with Councilman Navarez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm going to start off that a lot of, we sit up here, it's very public what we do, and a lot of you guys see us around town, but there's a lot of things that we do outside of this town that represents the city, and what we're trying to do is get some of our interest out there. We're such a small town in a big county. We got to make sure we have a loud voice. And also, some of that is getting some of our tax dollars back and bring it back to and benefit us around here. So with that in mind, I'm going to tell you some of the things that I've done this past month to represent Kennedale. We had the tree lighting, of course, which was wonderful. I think we had a record, I think we broke 3 years ago or 2 years ago when we did that for sure. My understanding was behind the tree, there was another 450 people that I did not see on the stage with the lights in my face. So with that in mind, we definitely did break a record on that, and I had a great time that night. I also attended the Kennedale Theater Park, watched the play. I also met with Fleetwood Project out of Mansfield, which is also a theater group, and spoke with them with their many problems that they have with Mansfield and trying to get their theater programs going there as well. I had a lunch with a TGAA rep, which was very interesting. I went to the Lineberger Christmas party, and for me, Madam Mayor, that was a full circle for me. For 10 years ago when I was doing college, I actually used to valet that event. So when I showed up and saw the valet company, I was super excited, took a picture and sent it to the owner and told him how it was a full circle for me that I actually got to attend the event instead of parking cars on that. I went to the NTTAA, did I say that right? North Texas Regional Tax. Thank you. I knew Kenneth, she said you were going to set me right on that. I went to their luncheon with Mr. Michaels and Nathan as well. That was a great meeting. We actually, the speaker for that was the lead engineer for Tarrant County for the roads, and he gave us a good road update. One that applies to us, I think you guys should know, is all this construction out there, even though it's slated for 2029, we are 15% complete. And I think that's amazing that they were already at 15% and within 6 months. And so I spoke to also many mayors and other councilmen from around Tarrant County and just discussed with them how their growth is going. For example, Weatherford and Mansfield, I spoke to them on their growth and just relaying to see what was going on within the county. We went to the mayor's ball. I went with my wife and we attended with the mayor and the city council, and it was a great time. The sheriff was actually the speaker, and if you ever heard Bill speak before, he's always amazing and fun to listen to. I also went to Judge McCoy, Judge Walker, and Judge Cook's Christmas party, something that I annually go to make my connections within the judicial community. I met with dignitaries such as, I had lunch with David and got to introduce myself to David and just kind of talk to him about our commonalities like computers. We're both computer nerds and family. I also met with David Cook, who is our representative of the state, and just went over everything that he went through the last couple months and what was going on with the state and what it has to do with us here in Kennedale. I just want to point out tomorrow, we're having the bingo Christmas party for the Rotary Club right here with the seniors. It's something that I started when I was president a few years back, so I'm so excited to see that the Rotary Club has been doing this every year since then, and I look forward to doing that tomorrow from 10 to 12. And those are my updates. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilman Griffith?
Oh, that's a lot. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I just wanted to share with you guys that we actually had our first 2 meetings for the Veterans Memorial Committee. We were tasked with addressing the fountain in the park, as well as the actual veteran memorial piece. So we've had a lot of great traction with that. We've had our first 2 meetings. We have many more to come. Some of the things we've accomplished thus far, we've kind of got a consensus on what changes to make. We're definitely not going to be doing any patchwork or anything that's going to cause us to revisit the issue in the future. It's going to be a complete overhaul. We're going to engage Parks, KKB, and the EDC to get some input and feedback from them as well, so that we can use this time and the resources wisely and make sure that we have a master plan that kind of encompasses the entire space. One of the things that we've already achieved is we had a veteran company come in, Lone Star Drones. They offered to do a topo reading for us, something that hasn't been done since, I believe, 2014. So what we could do with that is use it for future projects and things of that nature. So the survey was a great opportunity for us to be able to save money, because he volunteered to do that. And also, again, with the veterans, there's a program available called Spark for Veterans. Recently graduated, and I'm looking forward to being able to reach the veteran community here and offer that opportunity to them as well. It's great for veteran entrepreneurs who are looking to grow, expand, or start their business. And that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Mayor Pro Tem?
One of the greatest events I think Kennedale ever has right now is the Hometown Christmas, and I love being a part of that. And it was such a great turnout. Even my ugly sweater, I just love enjoying that. But I also met with a local business with the mayor and the city manager. It's called LBK Roofing. They're at 308 East Kennedale Parkway, and it's these people they want to get involved with their community, so I'm really looking forward to working with them. I did attend the Tarrant County Regional Transportation with Jeff and Nathan. I'm not going to talk too much on the Red Kettle. I'll let the mayor handle that. And I did have my first charter committee meeting on the 11th of this month, and we have a list of items that we're looking at. Everything's looking positive. I did have 2 members that didn't show up, but our next meeting is going to be in January, and hopefully that we can probably get this on the May election.
That's good news. Councilman Glover?
So this is my first month as a city council member, so I'm still kind of getting settled in, but it's been productive. I've met with the director of public works and the director of finance, along with the city manager. We're reviewing some pain points within the city operations. Maybe there's some opportunities there that we can improve things, and hopefully I can lend some help on that. The Christmas bash was great. It was a great turnout for everybody. Our family had a great time with that. And as Mayor Pro Tem said, we'll let the mayor speak to the Red Kettle.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's been a busy week. We're all, we do this for $1 meeting, in case y'all didn't know. It's a big paycheck. And we do a lot, meeting with people to get resources, as Councilman Navarez says. We don't have a lot of funds, Kennedale. We are working to get more businesses in to provide more sales tax. That's the direction we're going in. I am very excited to see the new businesses coming in that want to get involved with our community. So with that, I did have a meeting with Commissioner Simmons. We've got some discretionary funds that we're having conversations about. Obviously, Hometown, I don't have to say anything about that. It was just a huge success. I do want to say a special thanks to all of our sponsors, our elves for all the free treats. and the nachos and hot chocolate that never ran out. I couldn't believe that. I mean, just never ran out with the line all day long. So it was wonderful. Councilman Navarro, thank you for emceeing. Mayor Pro Tem Michaels for all the extra hours of getting the trees, lights, and decorations just right. I want to thank Lori Boyd. I don't know if I could say enough about her involvement. She decorated the senior center and the library for that event, and then she also provided gifts for all the kids for Santa that evening. So special thanks to her. And yes, we did. I'll move along. We met with two businesses, LBK and W3D. That's the barbecue place. We're super excited about having them come into Kennedale, and they're very excited about being here and want to get involved with what we have going on. They've chosen to be in Kennedale. As you may know, we had a State of the City town hall, and I wrote, you can view it at ... I'm not really sure where they can view that at, but on the website, on the City of Kennedale website, you can view that there.
Or the
And-
YouTube, our City of Kennedale YouTube
Okay,
site.
the City of Kennedale YouTube, you can view it there, and that was really a great opportunity for everyone to come in and see and hear what we've done the last year. So if you haven't looked at it, take a look at that, because it was very informative. And then the semi-annual Tarrant County Transportation Update as well, just gave an update on things going on with transportation. I want to brag a little bit. I did have the honor of attending the 2023 Holder of Hope Awards presented by Positive Actions International. This is an award that was inspired by the life of Dr. Robert Bosworth, who's dedicated his life to the service of others. The award is meant to recognize exemplary leaders across the business, entertainment, government, and religious organizations who have demonstrated a commitment to inspiring and supporting the community, reflecting the belief that each of us can make a positive difference and be a holder of hope for one another. Councilman Griffiths was given the award along with 6 other servant leaders, including State Rep Tony Tenderholt, the Prince of Lebanese family, and several others. I want to give Dolly Parton. I know you are going to be really surprised that I'm going to talk about Dolly Parton, but I want to give her a really special thank you for kicking off the ringing of the bell for the Salvation Army. She kicked that off during halftime for the Dallas Cowboys, and I think that that was a great kickoff for us. And we rang the bell on the 9th, the 9th of December from 10 to 6, and we had 3 doors. We had a couple people show up in interesting costumes. It was fun, and we met a lot of people. We had board members that came, we had citizens that came, we had their children that came, we had staff that came, and it was a really fun day and a great way for us to serve our community as a whole. And it hasn't been official, but I think we're going to get the progress of the year. So they called, and they were very excited about that celebration.
I rang my bell really hard.
You rang the bell really hard. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And yeah. And I do want to brag just a little bit on, we did have a board member that she actually rings the bell all day long, just a day, even without this. She rings it from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. with her husband, Mr. and Mrs. Kobeck. And they do that in honor of what the Salvation Army had did for their family back in the 40s. And her and her husband did that yesterday. So there was a Saturday night movie, but I have to be honest, my son was in theater, so I attended the Shrek show rather than the city movie, but it's still the city, right? But it was wonderful, and the kids did a great job, and they had kids small all the way to young, but I love supporting our kids to perform. I was honored to be invited to Iglesia, our church, this past Sunday. They had prayer for our cities in our area, and specifically Kennedale. It was a powerful prayer, and I'm really thankful for our churches, and they're covering us in prayer. It's very important, and their encouragement and their support. We We had fun at the Mayor's Council Holiday Dinner. I want to thank Keep Kennedale Beautiful Board, specifically Chair Kim Courtney. We received the Mayor's Monarch Certificate, so thank you for that. I want to thank the Firefighter Association Rotary for the angel tree. It's my understanding that all our angels are adopted, so that's wonderful. I love hearing that. I want to give everyone a reminder, you can keep up with all of our city events at the city website. If you just go to cityofkennedale.com under How Do I, you can drop down and go to there and you subscribe to everything. And in closing, I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'll turn it over to update for our city manager.
Absolutely.
Santa, to Santa.
Yeah, right. I still need to work on my ho-ho. First, thank you for being here tonight. Obviously, there's involvement for you to be here, and I encourage you to make sure you come and communicate with anybody on this board, the council, the mayor, myself, or even our staff. It's extremely important that we make sure it's a two-way communications between our community and your leaders. So anytime you have an issue, a problem, or a concern, or you just want to come up and pat somebody on the back and say, good job, please come up and do so. You can do it by walking in, make a phone call, email, text, however you want to get in communications with us. We are here to help, and we're here to serve you. So that's first and foremost. And once again, thank you for having an interest in being a part of tonight, because it is about you, and we're here to serve you. With that, another thank you for coming out for our hometown Christmas. It was a very huge success. Once again, it was for our community, for people to come here and be able to enjoy each other and enjoy what the city of Kennedale has to offer to you. I think it was a great event, and we have an absolutely great staff that came in and put that together. Obviously, over here to my left is our city staff leadership. They played a huge role in it, and they actually went out and worked that day as well. And I'm very grateful for their leadership to come out and be a part of it, and not just work it, but actually want to be a part of it and volunteered their time for it. And we had other staff that done the same thing. Our street department, parks department put the park together, put the tree together. There's a lot of backdoor involvement that sometimes you just don't see. But our city staff has done an outstanding job to make these events, not only for our Christmas event, but our events throughout the year. So make sure you visit some of our social media sites, our website, our newsletter, because it is very informational, and it'll allow you to know what's taking place within your community. And once again, reach out to all of us, because we are here and we want to communicate. We have nothing to hide, and you get involved, you may like it and may give us even more and better ideas to how we can serve you better. So I encourage you to do that. I would like to ask Nathan to come up. Some of the things as we move through this 2024 year, you'll start seeing even more improvements to some of the activities that we're doing and some of the things we've been working on for months. Most things just don't happen overnight. So as you go through 2024, make sure you're following us and communicating with us. We will do the best job we can as well. And sometimes we can come up short, but if you can help us out, we definitely can work together and make things happen. But I wanted Nathan to give us kind of an update. We're moving some of our dates around for our P&Z, and if you can just give us a short update for it.
Yes, sir. So starting January, what we've done is we've posted on our website our P&Z submittal calendar. Now that's specific to plat submittals. That meeting date is going to move from currently Planning and Zoning Commission, they meet the second Thursday of the month. That'll be moving to the fourth Thursday of the month. And so what that has allowed us to do is space out the meetings between P&Z and City Council, and allows staff to prepare for City Council. Right now, Planning and Zoning, with the exception of this month, but most of this year, P&Z would meet the second Thursday of the month. And then Friday, we're giving Rianne a hard time trying to scramble and prepare everything for council that meets the following Tuesday. And of course, that Friday following P&Z, they have to post the agenda. When it comes to plat submittals, the state House bill that's come out, it's clarified some plat submittal dates to where what the file date is established. And when they turn in a plat application and their tax certificates and everything that's on our checklist, that establishes the file date. And so if we were to meet on that Tuesday like we normally do and not go to council the next, a couple days later, we would exceed the 30-day shot clock until the next month. And so to help better structure those meetings and those submittal dates, particularly for our development community, they want to know when they get to come before P&Z and when they're going to come before city council. We've adjusted that calendar. The Board of Adjustment will continue to meet on their regular time, which is the second Tuesday of the month, and that's only as needed right now. So happy to answer any questions that you may have on the matter.
Very good. No, it's perfect. Thank you for that, because it gives council more time too. It's hard when planning and zoning's Thursday and then we receive the information Tuesday. That's a very short amount of time. So I think that'll work better for everyone, including our city secretary.
There.
All right, thank you for that. Anything else? Okay. All right, we're going to have our financial reports for the city and the EDC. Director Horton.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. This, on your packet, I did include September. This will be the last time I include September, as we've closed the fiscal year 23. Anything material is already in there. There may be some smaller changes to come during the audit process, but as of now, we're considering September closed. On the cover sheet in the packet, any bullet point that's red had a change. That's why there are two different colors on the September. If there's red, it was a change. I previewed the sales tax. We knew that was going to change. We definitely exceeded our budget on sales tax revenue and looking forward to the opportunity of doing that this year. Typically what I've found is it was a lot of online shopping in that fiscal year. Amazon has two different entities. Two of those entities were in our top 3 sales tax payers for the fiscal year. So thanks to everybody who shops online. We get a piece of that. So if you're not going to shop in Kennedale, please shop online. The Water Sewer Fund, Fund 10, we tidied up the sales for water service and sewer operations. Of course, if you look at the percentages, at first, if you look at the expenditures, well, we're over budget. Yeah, but when you look at the sales, we were over budget on those also. So those move in concert. Are there any other questions regarding September or fiscal year 23 in general? All right, I'll move on. Next packet is for November. One thing I mentioned last month that was off trend was in the general fund expenditures in the non-departmental Department 90. We were way under because we hadn't paid our insurance yet. We have paid our insurance. That's the biggest expense out of that. So you can see we're at 40% year to date, whereas at last fiscal year at this time, we were at 50%. So we've caught back up to trend on that. One thing I would like to mention, Councilman Griffith, you mentioned that the EDC, or with the survey that was done, are you comfortable giving a cost savings for the city on that?
It's roughly about $20,000. Yeah.
And that was when he said volunteered. I just wanted, since we're going on to the finances, I just wanted to bring out that volunteered meant he provided a service for free that would have been a decent expense for the EDC. So we appreciate that.
To be clear, it was a fellow veteran that had stepped up from another city, but wanted to contribute to the memorial here at the park. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Before I ramble on, do we have any questions that I can address?
I only have one question on the intergovernmental for November. There's no funding there at this point. Is that just running behind?
Yes, well, that will catch up. That's just,
okay.
It's designed to catch up at some point in the future.
Okay, very good. That was the only thing. Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Appreciate
ma'am.
it.
Thank you.
I like your tie.
Yeah, we'll
Appreciate it. Thank you.
See you a little later in the individual.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be back.
All right, we're going to move into our consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull?
Mayor Joplin, can we pull item number 2?
Yes, that's the, consider the authorizing city manager to sign the agreement for the mutual aid protection emergency medical service, Tarrant County. Okay, any other to pull? No? Okay, then I'll look for a motion to, on 1 and 3.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda, 1 and 3.
Okay, I have a motion to approve 1 and 3. Do I have a second?
I have a second.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right, so we're going to look at item 2, which was submitted by our Fire Chief, James Brown. Chief?
Good evening, council, mayor. What this particular item is, we've been running since it looks like 2005 and before, running an area in the county to support county ESD for fire and EMS responses. We were presented with this particular contract this year with a small expansion of the area that we are, that they've asked us to cover for this coming year. This is a service that we've been offering for a number of years, and it is staff's position that we hope that you approve this proposal and this contract for us going forward.
I'll let you go first, Councilman Glover, since you pulled it. And then we'll open it up to other questions.
So Chief, for the area involved, do we know how much call volume increase there will be?
So I ran data over the last 3 years. I like to look at historical data. What has it shown? Historical data shows us what the future may hold. So as we did that, so this particular area that we've been asked to cover over the past 3 years has generated 702 calls.
Over 3 years?
Over a 3-year span. And so that's an average of approximately 234 calls per year. And of those 234 calls per year, Kennedale Fire Department is already running 76 of those particular calls per year over that 3-year span. So this increase in, small increase in response it equates to about 0.4 calls per day over a 1-year period.
And one last question, how many calls do we get already in the city of Kennedale?
We run approximately 4 calls a day. Our average or our annual numbers this year are, well, right now we're about 1,600. We have another couple of weeks within it. So by the end of the year, my expectation is that we'll run approximately 1,700 calls this year.
And you don't foresee there being any challenges with providing services that you're already providing with the additional area?
No, I do not. As I said, I broke it down on what the history looked like and just what the call volume would look like. And based off of those projected numbers, it's less than a half a call a day that we would run into those particular areas.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Any questions, Councilman? No. Councilman Navarez? No. I have a couple questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I did look at it, and it does say it's a small area, but if you could give us some context of that area, like, to me, it doesn't look that small. It looks quite large.
When you say context, what?
Yeah, can you give me the area of the new area, of the additional expansion? Can you give me the area of it?
So the easiest visual I got anyway. So if you can take Dick Price Road, if you're familiar with a map in the city, take Dick Price Road, and as you know, it runs north to south and then curves back to the east. Dick Price Road goes all the way over to Kennedale Parkway. That entire area within that is what we will be running forward.
And what would you say that is, like, on mileage-wise? Would you say that's
It is, I actually looked at that.
5 miles, 10 miles?
It's approximately
12 miles, 15?
3.6 square miles is what it is.
So my concern with it is, or my question, I guess, is what's the benefit to the city of Kennedale and to the Kennedale citizens?
I believe the benefit long-term is more funding from the county that will help support the city as a whole. So if you look at what kind of funding we've had from the county, and I also ran back a little bit, about 3 years, on what the funding has been for us. It's basically broke down into 3 categories. Those categories are grant funding, their fire responses, and their EMS responses. Okay. So in, let's see, 21, we received $42,580 in fire response funding. Ambulance funding at that time, EMS response, we received $17,770 in funding. Along with that, we received $25,000 in grants for a grand total in 21 of $84,350. In 2022, grant funding, we received $25,000 in grants to purchase equipment and stuff that we need for fire or EMS response. On the fire responses, we received $47,000, and the EMS response funding was $23,448 a year. That's a total of $125,448. In 2023, fire responses, we received $48,500. EMS responses, so far, we're missing 1/4 out of it. We hadn't received funding on it. That came in at $15,805. And the grant funding, through the county, we received ARPA funding to help. So it had nothing to do with the money that the city got from ARPA, but it was funding from the Emergency Services District that we're helping with. We received $1,335,000. And with that, council has approved the purchase of 1 ambulance and all equipment on that, and some other equipment that has come in with that. And so when I spoke with the Tarrant County Fire Marshal, Randy Renoir, he's also the manager over the Tarrant County Emergency Services District 1 that we help in this area of Tarrant County. And like I said, when we looked at this small expansion of area, I asked him, I said, what if this becomes a burden on us, or becomes more work than what we expected? And he advised that if the added response area causes a considerable increase in Kennedale's call volume, the county would increase the annual funding to compensate for the additional cost incurred by the city. So about half of this particular area that they're asking us to expand into is in the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Someday they're going to be a part of the city if we do expand into the additional 2.2 square miles that we have in our ETJ. So that's what I see, how it will help the city in the future.
How will it benefit and here's my concern is those call-outs are going to be taken away from me. I guess I should, because do you feel like it's going to have to add extra staff? Because that's something else that we need to be aware of is the additional staff that would have to be added for this area.
No, ma'am. Based off of the numbers that I gave you and the increased call volume, like I said, 0.4 calls per day is what the increased historical data tells us. There's no additional staff needed for that. That is not significant at all.
And do you feel like those call-outs are going to affect negatively the city of the citizens of Kennedale?
No, ma'am, or I wouldn't have presented this to you. It's y'all task me with making decisions for the fire department, and I'll bring those to you, and let you know what that is. I do my study, I do my historical data recovery to just take a look and see how it's going to affect us. And the effect that this has on us is very small.
That was just my concern on it, especially with the firehouse being renovated this year, and we're going to have the extra calls. And I am aware that there's a rehab out there on this call, and that when you get called out to the rehab, that it is a long call. Typically, you're picking those up and going straight to JPS at that point.
No, that's not correct.
No, sometimes.
I've got the data right here. I can tell you exactly what hospitals they transported to, how many calls they ran in 21, 22, so far in 23.
Okay. I had another thought. Hold on a second. Oh, the additional money, so the funding then for this extra, because it is going to cost us, even if fuel, it's going to cost us extra, it's going to cost us more time, because we're already short-staffed somewhat in the fire department. What is the additional funding? Because right now, the way the contract reads, or what I read, is it's $52,500 is what we receive.
This year's contract for the fire responses is $52,500. Yes.
And currently, we're receiving?
Last year, I show it at $48,500.
So last year, we received $48,500. So for $3,000 more, we're taking on entirely another zone.
Yes, ma'am. If there was a significant call volume in there, I would have major concerns with it, but there's just not.
So the percentage additional time away from citizens, you don't see that?
No, ma'am.
Mayor, can I make a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
I would recommend the council maybe table this conversation to the January to allow a little bit more time for me to get stats and understand exactly what we need to bring to you, and be maybe more data to back up what the fire chief is recommending.
I would be in favor of that. Would you be in favor of that, tabling this till January?
In favor.
Okay. I need you to make a motion to table,
Mayor, I make a motion to table this topic until January.
and I'll take a
Madam Mayor,
second.
a second.
All in favor? All in favor? Yep. 2. All against? 2. So I'll break the tie that we'll table till January. All right, we will move to items for individual consideration. Before we do that, would anyone want to take a 5-minute break? Or do you want to keep, yes, we do need a 5-minute break. Okay, so 5 minutes, 7:06. We will get back together 7-Eleven. Thank you.
Sorry.
I was getting kind of warm up there, and then the air kicked on behind us. I was okay with that. I was cool there. I didn't know if folks would be chewing on us or. I figured that. I figured that's the reason I'd hit the button. I was gonna say something, and I saw you pull it.
Will you look at that statement? I It's a dance. I mean, that, no, it is.
It's a modern position. It's a garden stuff.
Like professionally, I don't want to make you feel wrong because I have a license tied to this. I mean, you know, it's not.
That's good. Well, it doesn't sit on the chassis. You know.
Well, let me rephrase it. Permitted
Or you just do the.
Have a fundraiser coming up. I might need your help designing a flyer. When is it? On the 30th. I'll let you know. I'm gonna try to get my son to make a copy of that one, or my friend, or our cousin.
That might be your best bet.
Yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble or practice going around accusing everybody. Somebody that was.
Keep me out of that, Sarah.
No, I can.
You're not tied to this building.
Yeah, the legacy is like. Oh, it is because it's still.
Say that about my face.
You're gonna have to remove a little bit on
Look up there now. Wear your sunglasses. That's what
The last decade, like, in this town. We need to get straight back down to the.
It's up there, I just don't know where it is.
Because we never had this, we never had free calls. You're gonna let me go. My dad served 6 years.
Oh, I thought you were going
My dad helped everybody.
Are you finding you give a big roll on? Not yet.
Hi, not too kind. Your first library, I'm not gonna lie. How are you, sir?
You made me nervous. Like, Y'all don't want to know when I leave the house. I don't want to know.
I'm sorry, I'm like, is she leaving out me?
I'm proud of the shit that you say. I wouldn't be You said volunteer.
Yeah, no, I know.
Actually, we're doing pretty good, 7:16. Council, if I could get you back to the dais, please. Hat etiquette here. We're going to go ahead and move into individual consideration. Item number 1, we're going to ask our Director of Finance, Mr. Horton, to come up. And there's several resolutions. We actually have 4 of them. You must be busy looking through your finance policy and have some updates for us.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we'll start with number 1.
The best I can see is that the last time the policies were reviewed, at least in front of council, was 2018. So given that amount of time, I thought it was good. And part of my training in this position was reviewing the policy and becoming familiar. In that time, we've had some language that has changed, different acronyms. So you'll notice that some of the changes are more grammatical than substantive, but there's some substantive changes as well. But we're starting off easy with the unclaimed fund property. I'm recommending no changes to this policy outside of, on page 2, adding the December 19th review date.
Okay, I'll take unless there's any questions, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 626, adopting an amended City of Kennedale unclaimed property policy.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
All in favor? Unanimous. Item number 2, Resolution 627.
This really just 2 grammatical changes. Changing an item on page 3 where it lists the whole Governmental Accounting Standards Board GASB Statement 54 to just say GASB 54. And also on page 3, we're removing a hyphen that makes it consistent with the language in GASB 54.
Okay, unless, again, if there are any questions, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 627, adopting an amended City of Kennedale fund balance policy.
I second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Resolution 628.
Okay, it seems like we put these in order based on complexity. So a little bit more to this one. Most of the changes, I mentioned there's some language changes. The annual audit is not called the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. That acronym has been deemed offensive. It is now the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or the ACFR. So in several places, we're changing the language to match what is commonly used. One bit of substance on page 6, section 5, paragraph F, Foxtrot, change 120 days to prior to Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Program submission. Currently, the date is March 31st, and this is referring to the audit itself. The GFOA award, that's considered the gold standard. It's an international standard for financial reporting. Rather than us having a standard separate for that, I'm wanting to align the city standard to that of this international organization. The other 2 changes are changing the words sundry to special services. We no longer have a sundry account. We do have special services. And then I mentioned throughout there are minor adjustments to spacing for consistency.
Okay, again, I'll take a motion if there's no questions.
Madam Mayor, I'm making a motion to approve Resolution 628, adopting an amended City of Kennedale financial management policy.
Madam Mayor, I second.
All in favor? Unanimous. And 629.
Okay, this is the final one for this evening, and this is one that we have seen recently. The Public Funds Investment Act, PFIA, requires an annual review. So we're trying to get this done early in the year rather than later. And we actually did have a few changes. On page 8, we had National Association of Securities Dealers. That was an organization that licensed financial advisors that has since been replaced by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. It's FINRA for short. So we had a regulatory body change. As we're looking up financial advisors, we can't use NASD anymore. So that was something that was overlooked during the last review. We're correcting that now. We also added on page 10, the approved broker-dealer list is included in Appendix B. Previously, there was mention of an approved vendor list, but that wasn't noted where in the packet, and there wasn't a list in the packet. So on page 10, we've put a note for Appendix B, and on page 18, that's the actual Appendix B. Also, part of this, previously we had a relationship with Frost Brokerage, I also wish to list Robert W. Baird and Company Incorporated, along with Frost Brokerage as an approved vendor. If you'll notice within this document, there are certain standards and items that need to be sent before a company can be considered. R.W. Baird has submitted everything to the Finance Committee, and we're comfortable adding them to this approved vendor list.
Okay, very good. If there are no questions, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, on this one of the, I guess the investors in the back is Tyson Eubanks. He's also a sitting board member at the EDC. Would that be a conflict of interest?
What page are you on?
It's page 18, Madam Mayor. It's the Appendix B that was added.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem, didn't mean to jump in over you.
Your question is if him being on the EDC make it a conflict of interest from him being a contractor for the city? I just want to clarify. Yeah, okay.
Yes, that is my question.
Yeah, he is a partner of this organization.
Is that a conflict of interest?
I don't know. I'll have to look at that. What would he be? Would he be a proposed contractor with us? Or,
Oh, your mic on.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud too.
Yes, the relationship would be we would have an investment account with R.W. Baird, and Tyson Eubanks would be our primary point of contact, the primary representative on that account.
But he'd be an employee of the Baird organization.
He's actually a partner, so he has ownership in that organization.
Yes, it's on our EDC board.
He's on the, well, of course, you got to remember, our EDC is a different organization, different entity from the city, but, I do have to evaluate. There is a potential for conflict of interest, so I have to evaluate that. I can't declare there's a conflict of interest speculatively because there isn't a contract or something actually in front of us. If there was a contract that he was a party to, then we would have to evaluate the conflict of interest that's being presented by that contract. But I think putting him on the list does not create a conflict, if you can follow my logic there.
Madam Mayor, I'll also remind council and citizens too that we've been working for the last few years to move to revitalize the EDC and also appoint people such as this young man onto the board. These are the type of business leaders that we do need on the EDC. And that's the type of board that they should be serving, so they should not be a conflict of interest.
I'd also like to add that there's a mechanism in place where if it's not creating a conflict just by having him on the list, there's an option for him to submit an affidavit and have a recusal, which will allow us the opportunity to discuss that.
And if I can clarify the relationship just briefly, the Finance Committee, or the Investment Committee, which right now is City Manager Darrell Hull and myself, will be making all the decisions. Tyson is a partner in the company. He will be advising us, but as far as decision-making, that's going to come internally from our city employees.
Very good. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question. I just wanted to make sure.
Well, thank you. It's a good question. I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 629 adopting an amended City of Kennedale investment policy.
I will second it.
All in favor? Unanimous. Very
And-
good.
and
Thank
we-
you for that.
We will have him fill out the affidavit. Yes, sir.
Okay, and hallelujah, we're at our last individual consideration, and then we'll go into executive session. This is to consider approval of a contract with McClendon Construction for the Collet Sublet Road Infrastructure Improvement Project in the amount of $2,374,914.50. And this is coming out of the 2021 bond. And am I correct that it was actually, we thought it was going to be 3.6 million?
It went up to 4.3,
And it actually came in at 2.3?
2.374.
It's very good. So with that, yeah, that's nice. We don't get that very often, so.
Yeah, the concept, we had a council member that was indicating to add 1%
Okay.
to every month for these projects. For this project, actually didn't come in true, so it was actually to our benefit.
Excellent. Very good.
And you know, bear in mind, this project was in the fiscal year 2018, 2019 CIP list, and it was never done. So we are grateful that the city could have, if the council would approve this contract and get it executed. So we are planning to, if it's executed tonight, we could start and have a pre-con early January for construction, early February.
Excellent. And this, and just for our citizens, there's, a lot of them aren't looking at our packet. This is the road, the water line, sewer,
Yes, water, sewer,
sidewalks,
paving.
stormwater.
Storm drain, sidewalk, curb and gutter.
Excellent.
So the full reconstruction.
Questions? Start with Mayor Pro Tem. No? You can't start with me? Okay. Councilman Glover, any questions?
So one question I do have when looking at this is, how many homes will we potentially be able to build once this is done? Or is this just expanding something that's already there?
This is rehabilitating the existing street that we have there, which is in bad condition, upgrading the water, sewer, and installing storm drain.
Okay.
As well as sidewalk.
And then one other question I have, for the price for the sidewalk in this quote, is that representative of the price of sidewalks these days?
Correct. The price of concrete has skyrocketed over the years. So, and it's strange to us that we got a bid that's so low. So I don't know what's going on, if the contractor is just looking to make a name in the city, because we had some prices at 6 million, 4 million, and this is the best price we got.
What piqued my interest in that is that we have a need in the city for more sidewalks. We've talked about that also. And I was trying to gauge if this quote was an accurate pricing for sidewalks being installed or not. So
Yes.
it is. Okay. All right, no further questions. Thank you.
You want me to skip over you? Oh, okay, that's right. You're within the 200 feet. Okay. I'm like, normally you're never that way, so I'm only, okay.
I have no questions at this time.
Okay,
Madam
Councilman
Mayor.
Navarro.
Just a couple. I want to follow up with the sidewalk question. Are these sidewalks are going to be wide enough for too wide or bicycles, or do we have a bike lane?
It's a 5-foot wide sidewalk.
Okay.
Which is standard.
Okay. And then on as far as the sewer system and the piping go, how old are those? Are those from the 50s? Are those like lead pipes and lead sewer system?
They're concrete pipes.
Okay.
So now they're going to be PVC.
So we're going to remove those and not bury those.
It's all gone, all brand new, state of the art.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and say this, Madam Mayor, that this is probably one of our high priority streets that we need to fix, especially after Magnolia Hills have been, went in right next to it. That whole street's a major thoroughway, and every time that somebody drives through it to cut over, which it is a cutover now, that just damages that street even more. In most places, it's only about 4 foot wide on that street, and right up the street from you. And anytime we need to install a street, I'm excited that we're going to push for more walkways, more bike packs, and things like that too. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. That's a great street for us to start working on in January, and it's about, as it reads, a 280-day project.
Yeah, 9 months, 270, yeah.
Very within the year. Very good. So with no more questions, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the contract with McClellan Construction for the Cullet Sublet Road Infrastructure Improvement Project.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Madam Mayor, a second.
All in favor? 3 and abstain? 1. Okay, so 3 in favor, 1 abstain. And with that, we are going to recess into executive session, and I'm going to read this laundry list out, so if y'all want to go ahead and leave, you can while I read. I won't take offense to you walking out while I'm reading. We're going to recess it pursuant to 551.071, consultation with the city attorney pertaining to any matter in which the duty of city attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct may conflict with the Open Meetings Act, including discussion of any item posted on the agenda, legal issues regarding the Open Meeting Act. Specifically, we'll be speaking about TGAA, the Mayor's Back to School Bash, and executive session disclosure.
You gonna stay?
I'm good with whatever you want, man. I'm good with whatever you want. I got a price for your sign, man.
Well, I think it's something that we have to discuss. Yeah, I mean, if everyone's here. I would agree as long as we're gonna be. Everything's down in the library, so if you post it somewhere, it's better than. I already put it on the calendar.
Oh, just towards the clock house. Well, we have backups. Oh, that's right.
Is there a chamber? I see you with that frost stuff talking about other vendors, Mr. Michael.
Nathan wants to have a meeting to discuss, we discuss our monthly employee recognition. Do you want to relay back to people?
it only lasts 20 minutes.
I was gonna use the chamber lunch.
I almost got out of, I say that every year, but I'm going on 19 years. Yeah, well, this year, because my wife's working,
I'm delayed when she said.
by trade, she's a dispatcher. She doesn't do that now. She's short-handed at dispatch. Because she's working Christmas Eve. So typically go to my in-laws Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
I think you are next month. Yeah.
It don't matter. So I had my daughter call grandma there. Christmas. I don't eat the monkeys that much. They eat tamales all day. So last Christmas, I had Burger King off the top of the hill. 45 and 20.
Here, and you're done.
I wanted to.
Hi. Have a good evening.
Hi, girl. How are you?
All right, so I kind of relayed what you said, and everyone's okay with getting, you're not okay. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
save us an hour of special time.
It was chilly. Have a Merry Christmas.
So it's about the employee retention program.
We all have insurance, somebody doesn't have a place to go, and they like insurance.
So ask me to send out an email. For me to describe all that.
India.
Monthly identifying what the support value are and works in it. So there are ones.
You're not sticking around, are you?
Weigh in on, this is verbatim.
Like, I don't want to be the only one.
But
Yeah, but I was kind of interested.
that's what I was
I'm gonna
hoping to
go on.
discuss, along with he's got something.
Call my mom and see if
I sent my email out.
I was trying to prevent.
Oh, yeah, I know. One time I called him, I was like 12:30, a long time, I'm like, where are you? It was like one of his first ones.
Discuss it verbally.
I'm like, why is that this councilman? There's no way this is still happening. He's like, where am I? Oh my God.
I want to get out of it.
It's already like on my mind, but I was like,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
why I
already
said-
on my mind, like, oh my God, did he get in a car accident or something like that? And I was like, because I woke up like midnight and he still wasn't home. And I was like, that was like the only time I've ever been like,
Don't have to spend that extra hour.
my phone died, I'm sorry.
Oh, I agree with you a million percent. I know what will happen no matter what. Yeah, I agree with you.
That's what happened, I fell
That's
asleep.
what I said, I was like,
Oh my God, he's still not home, like, I like panicked.
why are y'all all still here?
We're having a meeting tomorrow morning.
Well,
Discuss employee of the month.
not again.
Daryl wanted to be.
That's
what you
I
heard
think
too.
you're putting words in.
I think it's not
What would Ross
that much effort.
All right, so we need to be there at 9.
Good night. You're welcome. You don't have to be, you get to.
I technically, is this for the monthly?
Yeah.
Is this for the?
No, it's for the-
Yes. Talking about. Yes.
For principals, and then need some words with the others. Here's what we worked on. What do y'all think about it? I've already got a form drafted in Civic Plus.
They moved it to when it was like right at the break and the flyers weren't always available.
I might be late.
Yeah, are you ready for this? That's how it was when we first got here, that's how it was. I get that they want to do a weekend because it would bring more people, but not. I mean, it's a fun thing because you don't want to do it too early. All right. Yeah, it's like I want to do it early. I mean, I get that they want to make it a broader and more things, but it's yeah. And now they want to keep all the way after dishes stuck in the back. Well, when you start messing around like small things, it's always been. It starts turning it down apart, it goes down. Yeah. I mean, that's not like they can't, because they can't mandatory, they can be there because it's the same thing. Yeah. Now they're at all. I had a big problem with that alone. Jan was over, we went and her inside, our phone. Oh, yeah, I don't think somebody wants that, they don't be over it. I'm not yes or no, because I mean, I really try not to get involved, but I see that he wants to grow it and make it better for the businesses that are in it. I see what he was trying to do, but if you let them to say the families support it, they want to see their kids perform and stuff like that. I know, but it was not ideal, but you know, but it was a tradition. It kept going. Why they ever got rid of the fire lady over there? Yeah.
I was, did you notice what followed?
Oh, yeah.
Three people that have been. Yes. And I'm. Look at the executive session. Did you look at what's on the executive session? Violation. There's some evidence. One left. I printed 20 this time. Last time I printed 15 and I had to go back and print more. So I was wondering. I knew this one was going to have that heat.
Hello, there we are. Okay, so we are reconvening into open session from our executive session at 8:37, and we are going to take any action necessary pursuant to executive session as
Madam
needed.
Mayor, I make the following motion, that we task the city manager to engage an outside investigator in reference to executive session number 3.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Madam Mayor, a second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Madam Mayor, a second.
All in favor?
Merry Christmas.